Hello, KB. In today's lesson, we have one job, and that job is going to be to practice with this question right here. When do we use C and when do we use K? So, you know that the letter C and the letter K have the same sound, the same hard sound, which is the sound K. Can you say K? Good. So the challenge for us is when we hear a K sound at the beginning of one of our logic words, we need to be able to make the right choice when we are spelling them. Should we use C or should we use K? And we have learned the special rule that tells us when we use C and when we use K. Because we're not allowed to just pick whatever one we want. Okay? We have to use the right ones at the right times. So, first, let's remind ourselves about our rule for C before we talk about K. Each one of these rules has to do with the vowel in the word that we are spelling. The rule for C says we use C before A, O, and U. So if we are finger spelling a word that starts with K and we hear A as the vowel, or A, or we have to choose to use C, never K. So C comes before A, O, and U. That means that we're going to choose K before our other two vowels that we have learned. We use K before E and I. So that means if we're finger spelling a word and we hear K before the sound or I, we are going to choose K. So what we're going to do today, all we're going to do, is we're going to play a little game called C or K. I'm going to show you a word that's spelled two different ways. Each word is going to have one spelling with a C at the beginning and one spelling with a K at the beginning. And we need to figure out which one is correct. So let me show you what this looks like. This is our first one. I have the word at. Both of these say cat, but only one of them can be right. What we need to do is figure out if cat should have C at the beginning or K at the beginning. Now, let's talk about that. Remember, we're going to look at our vowel sound. So, when we take a look at the word cat, I see the letter A. And that letter A is making the sound ah. Think about what we know when we have an ah sound with k before it. Do we choose C or do we choose K? I want you to take your finger and point to the one that you think is correct. If you think we should use C, point at this word for cat. If you think we should use K, point at this word. I hope you are all pointing over here. We have to use C at the beginning of the word cat because we always use C before A. So C is our k before A. Let's take a look at another one. Okay, let's finger spell what we see together. They will both sound the same. So let's put your thumb up and let's finger spell now. K, id, kid. Let's figure out if we should use C at the beginning of kid or K at the beginning of kid. I see it in the middle We have a vowel. What letter is this? That's right, it's I. It's making its short sound I. Think about our rules. Do we use C before I for k, or do we use K before I for k? Go ahead and point at the word that you think is correct. And I hope you're pointing over here. We're going to use K in the word kid because our rule says that we use K anytime a k sound is coming before an I. Good job. Let's take a look at a few more. Put your thumb up. We'll finger spell these together. Ready, set, go. K, I, N, kin. When we have the word kin, think about if we should use K or if we should use C. Remember, look at the vowel. Just like last time, we see I. What sound does I make? Good. I says I. So if we have an I sound, should we use K before it or C? Use your finger and point at the one that you think is correct. Once again, I hope you're pointing at the spelling with K. We should be using K before I because that's what our rule says. So kin is k, I, n, k, I, n. Let's keep going. Here we have another word. Put your thumb up and let's finger spell. Ready, set, go. T, cut. Now, let's think about the word cut. Look at our vowel in the middle. What letter is that? It's U. Good job. What sound does U make? Yep, U says Now, think about what we use before U in the sound Do we use K or do we use C? Take your finger and point at the one that you think is the correct way to spell cut. Okay, I hope you're pointing over here. If we remember our rules, it says, or they say that we should use C before the vowel U. So cut, cut has to start with the letter C. All right, let's try another. Put your thumb up and let's finger spell what we see here. Ready, set, go. Cop. Let's think about the word cop. Whenever we have to choose between C or K, we should always look at the vowel. What letter do you see as the vowel in the word cop? That's right, we see O. What sound does O make? Aw. Good. O says aw. So if we have an aw sound with k before it, should we use C for k or K for k? Use your finger to point at the right spelling of pop. Great job, KB. I hope you picked this one. Our rule says that we should always choose C for k before O and the sound aw. Cop, k, aw, p should be C-O-P. You're doing a great job. Let's just try one more together. And this is a boy's name, which is why you see our capital letters at the beginning. Let's put our thumb up and let's finger spell. Ready, set, go. K-E-N, Ken. The word Ken has look at the vowel in the middle. What letter is our vowel? Good, that's E. What sound does E make? Good, eh, eh. When we have an eh sound with k before it, should we use K or should we use C? Point at the one that you think is the right choice. That's right, I hope you're pointing over here with the letter K. We should use K before eh, because that's what our rule says. We use K before E, just like we used K before I. Ken is K, E, N, K, E, N. So let's go back and remember our two rules that we just practiced. If we have to make a choice of what letter to use for K at the beginning of a word, we have to remember we use C before the vowels A, O, and U, and we use K before the vowels E and I. Hey, this was some great practice with those two letters and those two rules that we have learned. I know you're going to be experts at using C and K, and we will keep practicing at school each day.